Birds are warm-blooded animals with beaks, wings, and feathers. They belong to the class Aves, which includes more than 9,600 living species. Birds have many different adaptations that allow them to fly, including lightweight bones, powerful chest muscles, and wings with specialized feathers. Birds are found in a wide variety of habitats, from oceans to forests to deserts, and play important roles in ecosystems as pollinators, seed dispersers, and predators. Birds are a class of warm-blooded, egg-laying vertebrates that are characterized by several unique features, including the covering of feathers, four-chambered heart, and forelimbs modified into wings. The feathers of birds provide insulation, enabling them to maintain a stable body temperature, and they also play a crucial role in flight. The four-chambered heart of birds is similar to that of mammals, which allows them to have a high metabolic rate and sustain energy-intensive activities like flying. Birds have an excellent sense of vision, which is crucial for their survival, particularly when it comes to detecting prey and navigating through their environment. However, their sense of smell is not as well developed, and they rely more on their sight and hearing to perceive the world around them. Birds are found almost worldwide, in a wide range of habitats, from deserts to rainforests, and from mountains to oceans. Their dietary preferences and nest structures also vary widely, depending on the species and their environment. Some birds are carnivorous, feeding on insects and other animals, while others are herbivores, consuming seeds, fruits, and other plant materials. Overall, birds are incredibly diverse and fascinating creatures, with unique adaptations that have allowed them to thrive in virtually every corner of the globe. It appears that you have provided 3 separate statements about birds. Here is some additional information on each of these statements. Sense of smell and auditory range. While it is true that some bird species have a limited sense of smell and a restricted auditory range, it is important to note that this is not true for all birds. Some bird species, such as vultures and kiwis, have an excellent sense of smell, while others, such as owls, have a highly developed auditory range. Additionally, some bird species, such as the kakapo parrot of New Zealand, are nocturnal rather than diurnal. Diurnal habits. Many birds are indeed diurnal, meaning they are active during the day and sleep at night. This is because their eyes are adapted to detect light and colors during the daytime, which helps them find food and avoid predators. However, there are also many bird species that are crepuscular, active at dawn and dusk, or nocturnal, active at night. Extinct bird species. Fossil evidence has revealed that there have been over 1,000 bird species that are now extinct. These include the iconic dodo bird of Mauritius, the great auk of the North Atlantic, and the moa birds of New Zealand. The causes of these extinctions are varied, but human activity has played a major role in many cases, such as through hunting or habitat destruction. Became a formal scientific field, people had already recognized the importance of birds in their lives and cultures. Birds have been valued for their meat, feathers, and eggs, and have been hunted for these resources for thousands of years. In many societies, birds have also been associated with spiritual and symbolic meanings. For example, in ancient Egyptian mythology, the ibis was a sacred bird associated with the god Thoth, who was the patron of writing, knowledge, and wisdom. The phoenix, a mythical bird that was said to be able to rise from its own ashes, has been a symbol of rebirth and renewal in many cultures. Birds have also been a source of inspiration for artists and writers throughout history. Poets such as William Wordsworth and Emily Dickinson wrote about the beauty and wonder of birds, while painters like John James Audubon created detailed and realistic portraits of different bird species. In addition, many composers have been inspired by birds, and their songs and calls have been incorporated into musical compositions. Today, birds continue to play important roles in our lives and cultures. They are studied by ornithologists and conservationists to better understand their behavior, ecology, and conservation needs. They are also valued for their aesthetic beauty and enjoyed by birdwatchers and nature enthusiasts. In addition, birds continue to be featured in art, literature, and music, demonstrating their enduring importance as a cultural resource. Birds have been a subject of interest and fascination for humans for thousands of years, and their study and observation can be traced back to ancient times. In many cultures, birds were seen as powerful and symbolic creatures, and their behavior and appearance were often interpreted as omens or signs of good or bad luck. In ancient Egypt, birds were often depicted in hieroglyphs and paintings, and some species, such as the falcon, were even worshipped as symbols of various gods. The ancient Greeks and Romans were also interested in birds and their behavior, and some philosophers, such as Aristotle, wrote extensively about them. The Bible also contains many references to birds, including the story of Noah and the flood, where Noah sends out a raven and a dove to find land. Birds are also mentioned in other biblical stories, such as the story of Jonah and the whale, where a great fish swallows Jonah and later spits him out onto dry land. Over time, the study of birds has developed into a formal science known as ornithology, which involves the study of birds' biology, behavior, and ecology. Today, birds continue to capture our fascination and inspire us with their beauty, intelligence, and remarkable abilities. It is true that birds have been used symbolically in language and art for centuries, and many of these symbols are based on perceived bird attributes, whether real or imagined. For example, the eagle is often associated with strength and freedom, while the owl is often seen as a symbol of wisdom. Aesop's fables are a prime example of using bird characters to convey moral lessons. The fable of The Crow and the Pitcher uses the intelligence of the crow to teach the lesson that necessity is the mother of invention. The Physiologus, a text from the 2nd century, and its successors, the bestiaries of the Middle Ages, also used birds as symbols to convey moralistic messages. However, these texts often relied on allegory and myth rather than actual knowledge of birds. For example, the pelican was often portrayed as a symbol of Christ's sacrifice, as it was believed that the bird would pierce its own breast to feed its young with its own blood. While this belief is not scientifically accurate, it was used symbolically to represent Christ's self-sacrifice. Overall, birds have played an important role in human culture and symbolism for centuries, and their use as symbols in language and art continues to this day. Supernatural beliefs about birds probably took hold as early as recognition of the fact that some birds were good to eat. Australian Aborigines, for example, drove the black and white flycatcher from camp, lest it overhear conversation and carry the tails to enemies. Peoples of the Pacific Islands saw frigate birds as symbols of the sun and as carriers of omens and frequently portrayed them in their art. Yes, it is true that many cultures around the world have held supernatural beliefs about birds since ancient times. Birds have often been associated with divine or supernatural powers, and their behaviors, characteristics, and habitats have been interpreted as omens, messages, or symbols. As you mentioned, some cultures believed that certain birds were good to eat, while others believed that certain birds were taboo to hunt or eat because they were sacred or had magical powers. For example, many Native American tribes believed that the eagle was a powerful spirit that could carry prayers to the Creator and bring blessings to the people. The Maori people of New Zealand believed that the kiwi bird was a sacred messenger from the gods, and that killing a kiwi would bring bad luck. In addition to their spiritual and magical significance, birds have also played important roles in art, mythology, and folklore. Many ancient cultures, such as the Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans, depicted birds in their art and mythology as symbols of power, beauty, and transcendence. In some cultures, birds were believed to be shapeshifters or messengers of the gods, while in others they were seen as tricksters or symbols of death and rebirth. Overall, supernatural beliefs about birds have been a part of human culture for thousands of years, and continue to be important in many cultures today. Whether as symbols of power and beauty, messengers of the gods, or carriers of omens and messages, birds have captured the human imagination and inspired